Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Luke, and today I'll be talking about Ad Vitam. This is a new Netflix original movie and is actually my first official watch for 2025. Now we are in January, which has historically been known as basically the dump yard month for movies, and this movie, it's okay. It's not the greatest. But we'll get into it. This is a very different movie. This is a foreign movie. This is a French movie, and if you're watching, and again, this is only streaming on Netflix. I believe it's currently like in their top charts. I've been snowed in, haven't been able to leave the house, so got on Netflix or got on all the streaming services to see what 2025 releases are out, and this is the only one I was able to find. So like I said, this is a foreign movie spoken in French. By default, for me at least, it does directly subtitled, or the dubbed version, and I would strongly recommend flipping this over to subtitled. The voices chosen don't necessarily match up with the faces, and that instantly became a pretty big distraction for me. So I would recommend, if you watch this, to make sure you have it in French with subtitles for a little bit of a better experience. Now, this movie is set up as essentially like an action spy thriller style movie. We primarily follow Frank and Leo. These are two people that are married. They are expecting their first child, but we get a lot of historical background information on them through the training that they went through. They are part of a service called the GIGN, which is essentially like this super high-level secret service that the government will send in when things just need to get done in a particular way. Basically, you think like, if the cops can't handle it, they're gonna send these people in, especially dealing with like high-risk terrorists or villains, things like that. But this movie does follow like what you would think in most typical spy movies. Think like Mission Impossible, James Bond, Jason Bourne, where there's some stuff that goes down, some bad guys that are trying to get evidence that are going to lead them to prison. One particular person has it, this case being Frank, and they're setting him up for failure and just trying to get this one particular thing while he's basically on the run to try to get it back and save, his wife and anyone that's close to him. So let's get into whatever pros and cons that we can find here. I mentioned distractions earlier. One particular distraction is with the actor portraying Frank. Not that he's a bad actor or anything, but his resemblance is very, very close to Patrick Dempsey. And for some reason, like anytime he's on screen, that's the only person I could think of. He just looks so much like him that I kept having to like second guess and being like, wait, who is this Patrick playing this character? Or like, who is this guy? It just threw me off, and it was really a bizarre distraction, especially dealing with, I don't know, this spy movie, because so much of this movie we're following these characters as they're going through like their training academy. We're seeing them as these friendships are formed, and kind of the buildup of the relationships in this movie. And a lot of these people just lean on the older side for this training academy, which really just threw me off. I don't know, there's some weird decisions made in this, but going into these weird decisions, I think this really plays into who is this movie meant for, because while there is action in this movie, there's not much. Most of the high-level action really are in the last 20 minutes. So this is a 90-minute runtime, something you expect to be very fast-paced, very exciting, a lot of action, boom, 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 just kind of get into what's going on and watch these people as they're trying to figure out how to solve it, because this main guy that we followed, he's got a lot on his within his background, especially with his father. His father went through the same program. He's kind of known as being one that can climb basically anything without needing, assistance from like ladders or ropes, almost like this freeform style. And we get a lot of moments with that, and I wish they could have leaned more into that, but they just don't. Like I said, we get the action at the last part of it. There's small elements of like what's really going on, like who are the actual villains here. Why are they being set, like why do they feel like they're being set up, what was being done. But so much of that again is overshadowed because so much of this runtime is spent with these people as they're going through their training to get into the GIGN, We're seeing like, you know, who's Frank's best friend, which is Nico, and Nico, he's married, they've got a family, and then we have Leo, and then there's another character named Ben who's coming into play, and so much of this time is just spent with them either like at a bar or outside, just kind of the relationship building. And I get why, you know, that's important to build that emotional impact with these characters. I just think it was so much of the runtime when this should be more of this action movie, much more fast-paced. And I'll get into one particular moment, minor spoiler near the end, but that was the biggest letdown for me. Is just not really understanding who is this meant for, not really sure what I should be caring about during all of this, and the way it's pieced together is very confusing because you don't really know, is there a core, you know, unit, bad guy, whatever that they're going after? Is this an assortment of bad guys? We just don't necessarily know. And it's also like how the movie's set up versus what it jumps into. You get a lot of back and forth of like, you know, we start this movie off where we're set in the future, Leo's pregnant, they go in, their apartment's been vandalized, they don't really think much of it. It constantly gets vandalized. There are always people breaking into this place. It's also like, as they know that they're expecting, they just choose the most random place to live that just doesn't feel the safest, especially with children, which blew my mind. I just didn't get that decision. And then I don't know, it's just, there's a lot of like character decisions that felt out of place. Like they're not thinking like, oh, we need to get away from here. Like, why do we keep coming back? Or why did we do X, Y, and Z? But when it comes to like some of these action moments, they are quite silly. And yes, you get these silly kind of moments in more of the major blockbusters. But one in particular is we see Frank, who's basically on the run with the main bad guys. We're in a classic car chase. He gets on a dirt bike. He's trying to ride through the woods, eventually gets to like this farming field, runs, and just happens to find this paramotor set up, just perfectly laid out for him, that he's able to run to and somehow get it on while there has to be at least 10 to 15 of these officers just all running in all directions towards him as he gets this suit on, gets it buckled, is able to start the motor and takes off running. And there's one particular shot where you can see like all these cops are just like right there on top of him. They could have stopped him, but they just kind of like back off and they're just throwing their arms out to make this dramatic effect as he's like gliding off to get away. There's a lot of moments like this where things just kind of happen to work out and it's just really, really weird. But all in all, like the movie, it looks okay. Like visually it's good. There is a story there. I just don't think the story was pieced together very well. The acting is okay. The characters are fine. I think some of them just feel out of place in terms of like either age-wise, they just don't look like they match with the other characters. I don't know, there was just something about that bothered me. But all in all, Ad Vitam, you know, it's a January release. I hate to say it, but it's not the greatest. It's not the worst. I've definitely seen worse movies than this one, but I just think this struggles to know like who the audience really is, what it's going for. I really wish I spent more time piecing together a better story. Probably would have made this a little bit more enjoyable. So first movie of 2025. Sadly, it's nothing great, but again, we're beginning of the year, a lot of movies coming out right now. I'm hoping that I can get to see Den of Thieves 2 pretty soon and get that on the channel. Plus we have tons of movies coming out this weekend that I can't wait to watch and see. Thank you so much. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you can get notified when a new video comes out. If you like this video, give it a like. Also, if you're interested, I am an app developer. I have a rating app called Movie Scorecard. The link's in the description. Would love for you to check it out. It's free to take a look at. Please, if you like it, leave that a rating and review as it helps it as well in the App Store. Again, thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with more reviews.